Did you know that when using the S7 sniper rifle in Halo Infinite, the scope will highlight solid objects? This means that when looking at the energy sword, the scope only detects the handle and not the blade, which is of course made of gas. Hello and welcome to Hidden Video Game Details, the series that aims to show you things that you may not have known about your favourite games so that you can look really clever in front of me. As always, don't forget to like this video if you enjoy my videos, subscribe and do all that YouTube algorithm stuff, and without further delay, let's get started. Right, before we properly get started, let's take another quick look at Spongebob SquarePants Truth or Square. We previously covered the 2009 SpongeBob game back in episode 76 of this series, with the standout detail being SpongeBob's rapid aging if you left him alone for too long. Another cool detail from that video were the various lines of dialogue that could be heard if you messed around with the dialogue slider in the game settings. Well, loads of you mentioned that there is more hidden dialogue to be found in the cheats menu. Simply selecting the cheats menu will cause the cast of SpongeBob to share their thoughts with you.
Cheats! Darn tootin'! Let's have some fun!
Cheats! You wouldn't catch me in there. I'm above cheating.
Ah, cheats! Now there's something I can relate to.
Cheats! I'll be in here for a while. My mother always told me never cheat. Let's cheat!
Now, this isn't the coolest detail in the world, but I do try and read as many comments as I can, and enough of you mentioned it that I thought it was worth sharing. Next up is another really cool detail from the much improved WWE 2K22. And today's WWE detail is one that I'm sure wrestling fans will enjoy. NXT is the place where wrestlers go to prove they are worthy of a spot on the main roster. Once a wrestler is deemed good enough to make the step up, they leave NXT, never to return. Well, usually, some wrestlers have been sent back to the developmental brand, but it's pretty rare. Anyway, if you select a wrestler who made their name in NXT, say Becky Lynch for example, and select an NXT arena, the crowd will chant this. So the crowd will chant welcome home to the returning superstar. It's a really nice touch. So this next wrestling detail comes from friend of the channel, This Gen Gaming. Now, if you've watched my channel long enough, you know that I like to record all of my own footage, as I feel like I can explain things better if I actually experience them myself. There are very few people who I trust to not only provide footage, but also provide context to that footage, and one of those is This Gen Gaming. So if you love hidden details, Easter eggs and just about everything else in WWE games and more, check his channel out, the link will be in the description. Anyway, the detail that This Gen Gaming sent across can be found in the often overlooked WWE Raw for the original Xbox. When fighting someone like Bubba Ray Dudley for example, you can knock the table-loving superstar's glasses off his face. Now that in itself is pretty cool for a game released in 2002. But what's even cooler is this. So you can interrupt your super serious wrestling match and play a game of dress up using Bubba's glasses. For a game released in 2002, it's really impressive. Next up is a game that a lot of you may not have heard of. Sonic EYX is another game that asks the question, what if the Sonic games were haunted? Now that may sound like a silly idea for a game, but given the popularity of this game and games like it, there is definitely an audience for its brand of jump scares and frights. Anyway, the details I wanted to share from Sonic EYX are actually kind of scary, which shouldn't really be a surprise. If you play games on PC, you more than likely play them in full screen. But if you're feeling brave enough to give EYX a go, then may I suggest playing in windowed mode. The reason for this is the game's title bar will talk to you. It begins simple enough with commands like leave, no hope and run, before upping the ante with he's coming and he can see you. Finally, as you approach the end of the first level, things take a more sinister turn. So the game claims to be watching you, even calling you by your name. Now it would be obvious the game had something like this planned if it asked for your name beforehand. but it doesn't. Instead, the game takes your name from your PC, which makes it 10 times creepier, but also 10 times cooler. The other detail that I found in EYX is one for those of you who are really bad at platformers. If you lose all of your lives during the first level, the game will do this. Oh, and heads up, jump scare incoming. So not only will the game try its best to give you a heart attack, but it will also call you pathetic, which is a really low blow. Now, I don't know about you, but I had no idea that Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War had a game mode called Outbreak. Of course, I spent a ton of time in multiplayer and I dabbled in the standard zombies mode, but I only tried the Outbreak mode last week. That might have something to do with the mode being added a few months after launch, but I had honestly never heard of it. Now, unlike traditional zombies, Outbreak drops you into a location and asks that you complete several objectives whilst endless waves of zombies try to stop you. One of the maps in Outbreak is Armada, which is also available in the standard multiplayer. Well, if you decide to take a break from the overwhelming hordes of zombies and go for a dip, eventually the location name will change to this.
Strike deep, come in.
So after a short time, this location's name will change from Gunboat to Davy Jones's Locker. Now bear in mind that going this deep will kill you, but that's just one of the many sacrifices I make for you all. Okay, it's time for another detail from Metal Gear Solid 2, and this one is definitely eye-catching. MGS2 was one of the first games that I remember to have working mirrors. Well, on consoles at least. Now, as you can see, looking in the mirror in MGS2 shows Raiden in all of his strangely feminine glory. If you wanted to take a closer look, grab your trusty binoculars and look at the mirror. So using the binoculars and looking into the mirror will magnify Raiden's eyes to almost comical levels. Over 20 years later, and I'm still learning new things about this game. So let's end today's video with the excellent Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. When beginning the game, you're asked to enter the time, which is kind of strange as both PCs and consoles have clocks that games can access. Still, set the time and move on. When you load up the game again, you are once again prompted to enter the time. And if you enter the correct time again, this will happen. I mean, the Stanley Parable is a game where the fourth wall isn't broken, it's smashed to pieces, but this is one of the coolest examples of that I've seen so far. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and secrets and hidden details in video games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that's what this channel is all about. Thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.